Welcome back to another Bolt tutorial. The research is in, and in this video, I'm going to take you through 7 advanced prompting techniques to significantly improve your AI agent's output. Step 1, what to stop doing. Before I can show you what good prompting looks like in 2026, I need to show you what to delete from your prompts right now. Let's go through this mediocre prompt line by line. You are an expert senior developer with 10 years of experience. Now, role prompts like this affect the voice, but not the capability. Claude isn't better because you told it to be one. Delete. Although it's polite to say please to humans, this no longer has much of an impact on AI agents. It's just filler, so we can delete. Really is also filler. Delete. Don't forget to is slightly negative framing. Claude now responds better to positive than negative framing, so we can delete. Same applies to make sure to. Delete. This is important, so please be thorough and don't skip anything. This is emotional pressure, and on the current Claude models, this can trigger overthinking, so delete. Use best practices. This doesn't mean anything specific, and Claude already defaults to reasonable patterns. Delete. And make it look professional is too vague. You'll get a generic AI-looking output every time. Delete. The Bolt agent knows to use React under the hood, so delete. This doesn't leave us with much. It's very vague and is hardly better than before. But now that we've stripped out the fake instructions, we can start adding good ones in. Everything I just deleted were typical patterns that prompt engineers would use to compensate for weaknesses in the models, but those weaknesses don't exist anymore. The Claude you use today is trained past all of that. Step 2, onboard Claude like a new hire. The single most important reframe that you can use is pretending that Claude is a brilliant new hire, but has zero context of what you're building. Now, if a new hire got this brief, think of the questions that they would ask you. What statuses do books move through? Is it a list or grid view? Are there stats? What should it look and feel like? We need to answer those questions so Claude doesn't need to guess. Here's a much better prompt. Build a personal reading tracker app. Users should be able to add books and move them between 3 statuses: want to read, reading, and finished. They should also see basic reading stats like books finished this year and current reading streak. Include a list view and detail view for each book. Use a calm, editorial visual style because this is meant to feel like a quiet personal space, not a productivity tool. Include smooth transitions between views and light and dark mode toggle. Also, I'm not just using the word stats, but I'm actually giving some examples. When we add calm editorial, this one phrase can change the whole output because if we don't define the tone, it becomes generic. So when the agent hits a decision that it didn't anticipate, it'll help generalize in the right direction. Finally, we're asking for smooth transitions between light and dark mode. Claude won't add something like this by default, so if you want something specific, make sure to name it. To wrap up, specificity isn't verbose. It's the difference between the agent guessing something or knowing something. Step 3, structure with extensible markup language and examples. Now we're going to structure the prompt because formatting isn't just cosmetic, it improves your results. Let's go about defining the database. This is a great example where we want to match the specifications exactly. With a prompt like this written in prose, the Claude agent can pass this. However, the risk of misunderstanding goes up, especially as the prompt gets longer. Let's now restructure the exact same information in XML. Here we go. Please use the following structure for the data model. We open the data model definer and then we close it. We open the entity name and then again we close it. And you can see we've done the same for fields as well. We've then gone ahead and defined the properties within an example book. By using XML like this, you're effectively telling the agent to use this as a data spec and to treat it as a structured input. This example book is effectively showing the Claude agent 2 things at once: the shape of the data and the tone of the seed content to use. If you have multiple long examples, note to put your best one last because Claude weighs the most recent ones more heavily. To sum up, prose is great for humans and XML is great for agents. You can use both, but use XML where you want it to be exact. Bolt, in fact, has an inbuilt ability to structure your prompts. It doesn't use XML, but it does format it. So let's click Enhance Prompt. Step 4, plan before you build. Here's where plan mode earns its place. Most of us will hit build now immediately, but the research shows not to. Plan mode is a great way to catch the agent if it's misunderstood anything from your initial brief. If the plan's wrong, you can easily adapt this before it builds out the whole app. Also, it may ask you clarifying questions, which is a great way for it to clear up potential edge cases which you may not have considered. To plan it out first, simply click Plan and now Generate Plan. A minute later, and the agent's finished planning it out. Here's the plan. Database and backend setup, creates a books table, etc. Foundation and theming. It's got a data layer and state management. We've got our core views and components, interactions and transitions, responsiveness and polish, with verification at the end. Because we were quite specific and it didn't come up with any edge cases, it hasn't asked us any clarifying questions. If it did ask you 3 clarifying questions, simply address these like so. Then you can turn it off plan mode and build, and it will consider your inputs. In this case, we don't need to answer those, so we can either click implement this plan or build directly. Step 5, be literal about your scope. The agent's finished the prompt, now let's test it out. Firstly, going into light mode, we can see it has that really nice soft animation that we asked for. We'll test adding a book to our shelf. It's asking for title, author, and adding those 3 states that we defined in our initial prompt. Place on shelf. And just like that, it's been added. Let's go into our database. We'll click on the books table, and it's added the exact properties that we asked for when we defined this using our XML. Personally, I think it would function better instead of having the currently reading, want to read, and finished all vertically stacked on top of each other if there were tabs to change between these. I could say something like add tabs for the different reading states, but the agent may get confused. So here's a more clear prompt. Rather than showing the currently reading, want to read, and finish states all in the same scrollable section, please add tabs underneath the add a book to your shelf component. Using these tabs, I should be able to change between the 3 states. Let's do this to avoid the scroll section becoming too long. Notice that I said why we're doing it. The tabs should be sticky to the top of the page as I scroll down. Notice I've used specific UI terminology, and this is good to do so if you know it. Again, we can enhance this prompt. This all looks good, so let's build. The agent's finished working and it looks and works great. Let's now test out the stickiness of the tabs. We'll add a few more books to our list. Instead of manually doing this, remember you can prompt the agent to see your database for you. Here's our prompt. Please see the database with 20 popular books in the Want to Read tab. For a simple task like this, we don't need the highest intelligence model, so I've selected Haiku 4.5 to save on tokens. The agent's now populated the Want to Read tab with 20 different book examples, and as we scroll, we can see that the tabs are sticky to the top of the screen. Step 6, front-end distinctiveness. Let's talk about visuals. Often the AI agent likes to repeat common patterns, and you'll often find a lot of your apps looking quite similar. Because we used a strong initial prompt, that isn't really the case here, but in this section, I'm going to show you even more ways that you can break out of the mold. Here's a great prompt that you can use to freshen things up in your app. Propose 3 distinct visual directions for this app. For each, give me palette with hex values, typography pairing, card treatment, and overall mood in 1 sentence. Don't rebuild yet, I want to pick first. We'll put it in plan mode and build. And here's the plan. Direction 1. Midnight Salon, sophisticated, moody elegance with an intimate late-night reading atmosphere. I like the sound of that. The palette is deep navy, cream, warm gold, typography, playfair display, and the mood is luxurious, introspective, like reading a high-end library after hours. Direction 2. Botanical calm, organic nature-inspired softness with earthy greens and botanical illustrations. Peaceful and grounded like reading in a sunlit garden surrounded by living things. And finally, minimalistic ink, clean architectural precision with pure black-white contrast and typography-forward design. Let's go with direction 2, botanical calm. Apply it to every screen. Keep the layout and functionality exactly as they are now. This is a visual-only pass. Notice I said keep the layout and functionality exactly as they are now. This is tip number 5, be literal about your scope in action. We've added this so the agent doesn't change any of the functionality when we're just asking for a paint job. So let's turn it off plan mode and we'll build. Just like that, the page has been restyled. We can see it's got this green theme to it, a soft, subtle gradients in the background with these icons as well. Step 7, self-verification and refactoring. Now for the last technique before we finish this video, let's make the agent do a quality assessment of itself. Because the agent's context window is probably quite full by now, let's go ahead and clear the context. We'll type /clear. Before we ship this, review the app against these criteria and flag anything that fails. Can a user complete the core flow of adding book, changing its status, and viewing their stats without getting stuck? 2. Do the empty states feel welcoming or broken? Check every screen that could be empty on first use. 3. Is the mobile layout actually usable, or is it just scaled down? Check tap targets, text wrapping, and scroll behavior. For each criterion, say pass or fail, and if it fails, make a fix. Remember, we can always view responsiveness by changing it to responsive mode here. Overall, it looks pretty decent, but let's carry out this prompt. Here's the review. The core flow passed, the empty states passed, and the mobile layout failed, but it's made those fixes. Another important skill to know about, which is particularly useful as your project size grows, is refactoring. This effectively cleans up and optimizes your code so it can run more efficiently. Here's our prompt. Please determine if I can make any refactors to my code base to improve its efficiency and performance. We'll put it in plan mode and build. It wants to eliminate wasted recomputation in the dashboard. It's worth reading through these. Fix unstable render in the stats panel. Trim work in the used books, memorize the list rendering, and more. They all sound good, so let's implement this plan. The final thing to note with self-verification is you don't want to use generic "is this good" type prompts. You want to be specific with the criteria that you're asking it about. In this video, we've covered 7 advanced prompting techniques that you can use in your Bolt project. Now, remember, it's all about reducing the variance between what you meant and what the agent heard. So every technique in this video essentially does the same thing from a different angle. You're stripping down the noise, you're adding specificity, you're giving it structure, and you're checking your work. Try these techniques in your next build, and I'm sure you'll get some incredible outputs. Thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next Bolt tutorial.